Hey, this is Kate. If you're enjoying the content on the Good Fight channel, then please do hit like and subscribe below. Thank you. So you got the fight coming up September 10th. It's for the unified titles at super featherweight. I guess I'm just interested kind of how do you rate this in terms of the fights that you've had in your career? Does this feel like the biggest ever?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Every fight now from it's funny because you say that coming up too, because every fight is so important because if you screw up on the come up, it's like you may not ever get to this stage where we're at right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then now that we're at this stage, I gotta win. I gotta continue to win. Every fight could be, the last fight because this sport is so unforgiving. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those few sports where like losing can be very detrimental to your career. And so this is very, very big fight for me. I've worked really hard to get myself into this position. And so obviously added pressure and that's okay. I'm fine. I feel like I've had the right fights to make me ready for this, the pressure and the competition. But yeah, it's definitely really, really big. There's a lot on the line.
Who do you spar with in preparation? Do you spar with mostly women, mostly men? Like, what's your system?
Um, yeah, I spar with a lot of men and I spar with a handful of girls. I mix it up. It just sort of depends on who I'm fighting. So Coach Al is very, very particular about my sparring, emulating my opponent, right? Like
Okay.
if I'm fighting like a short, aggressive fighter, he's not going to have me fight a tall, lean boxer that circles. You know what I
Right.
mean? So he's very particular, and it's so sort of what we can get. Right now, we have a really, really awesome woman from the Army team out here who's really strong and she's been doing really well, kind of emulating what Baumgardner would do, and so she's working really well for us. And then we had a guy for the Hamadouche fight, Mexican style fighter, who was just digging my body
Right.
round after round for weeks on end to prepare for someone like Hamadouche. So it just depends. But yeah, handful of men and women.
So following you on Twitter, it feels like there's been a lot of animosity between you and Alycia Baumgardner. And I feel like you've said that the dislike is genuine. It's real. Why do you dislike her?
I feel like it was really her. It wasn't me because what I did was and I'm talking about like the cattiness and the dislike
Hmm.
because really it wasn't personal for me. When she won the belt against Terry Harper, it was only natural for me as a competitor and as a world champion who wants to go undisputed to call her out. It's
Mm.
nothing personal. I was calling every champ out. No, I was going after Terry Harper for who knows how long trying to get that fight. And so when Baumgartner got it, now I'm coming for her. She's the one who seemed to take it a little personally, thinking that I was calling me a hater, which I think that is the wrong word because if you're a real champion and you want to be undisputed, then you want to challenge yourself against the best and you want to fight the other champion. So it took her a really long time to even say my name.
You have been critical of her, though, in terms of, I've heard you say she was a one-dimensional fighter. You've said that she hasn't really done anything in the sport of boxing to get to this point. She's kind of riding on the coattails of others that have gone before her, like you or Claressa or other female fighters. And I saw her promoter, Dimitri Salita, come out and say it was kind of wrong of you to denigrate a fellow female fighter. Do you feel like that's like a weird expectation we have of women fighters, that they should hold up all other women fighters rather that they can have these rivalries that make men's sports thrive?
Exactly. I think it was so out of place for Salita to even jump in and like, it's not your place. Like, let us do the shit talking, you do the promoting, and like stay out of it. My whole point to that was I feel like I've been busting my ass in the sport. I didn't take my first, this is all part of the shit talk, right? I didn't take my first fight until I was 18 years old, my first boxing
Mm-hmm.
match. She was boxing since she was 8 years old. So my whole point to that statement was, where the heck have you been? Like, I feel like she's been bullshitting. I feel like she's been bullshitting and she came around at the right time and women's boxing's built up. She took the belt from Terry Harper. Great. I can't say anything about that. She did what she had to do. But I feel like I've been hustling in this sport and I've been working my ass off getting to the top. My accolades and my resume, like school is hers, and then in half the time. And so my whole point is that I think I've been working hard and she's been bullshitting, and now she has the opportunity, but I feel like she's levels behind me.
In what way do you think that will show in the ring?
When it comes to experience and adaptability, she does really well, but I just feel like I have more tools. And if the fight goes in one direction, I have the skills and the experience to adapt to that. Whereas I don't think she's had that yet. I think she's a good fighter. I think she's going to be really good one day. She can have the belts when I move up and I'm done. She probably will, but I just think that I'm the more well-rounded, complete fighter.
Do you think that when we're talking about women's sports or women's fighting, we should shift away from kind of always talking about women as these inspirational figures for the next generation and actually be able to talk about them in terms of these rivalries? Who's the greatest? Like an MJ LeBron type debate. Is that what would help push women's sports to another level?
Yeah, you're right. It's kind of like at a weird time where the pioneers in this era of women's boxing, we do care about that next generation because it was a
Right.
blueprint that we didn't have, and so we do care about that. But then also, we're still fighters. We're still getting in the ring with these opponents that we want to desperately beat, and so there is rivalries for the first time in women's boxing that I think the world has never seen before. So yeah, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. Like we have to play both of these roles. Good thing about women, we're good at doing that. We're good at multitasking and juggling and being everything that everybody wants us to be. But at the end of the day, like we're still fighters. And so, yeah, you got to let us go. And Claressa's been a great example of that too. She got a lot of heat for the way she talks shit and the way she builds fight. But this is what is taking women's boxing to the next level. Rivalries. It's important for the fan base. This is entertainment at the end of the day.
Right. I'm sure it must feel really cool to you to be part of such a big event. And I know that, the fight that you have with Baumgardner could have been a headliner, right? But you chose to accept being a co-main because this is such a historic card, right? All female fights at the O2 in London. It's just a really cool event. Two fights that are unified, well, one undisputed, the other one unified. So just a massive card in general. Being involved in a historic fight like that, do you have an expectation for it to change your life in any way?
It's interesting because I feel like as a female, like when a male wins his first world title, his life is immediately changed, right? It's like life changing for them. And in my come up, while women's boxing was still evolving, it wasn't a life changing accomplishment for me. Yeah, my money went up a little bit and this and that, and I have a
Uh-huh.
belt now. But it's almost like for women to really get that, it's like we have to go undisputed to get what a man would get for his first world title. And whatever, I'm not complaining, that is the way it is. But it's not like after every big win, I'm getting these life, like it's not life changing for me. And I think it will be. I do think this is like still the biggest fight. And I keep thinking like even after a Hamadouche fight, I'm like, oh, this is the fight. This is the fight that's going to change
Mm-hmm.
everything. But you just never really know because we're still just developing this market. And I think it keeps me humble, and keeps me working hard. I really don't think about what could happen after this. It's just most important for me to win, and it's very important for me to get paid also. And so I know this is going to up my stock because I want to put all this work in. I want to be able to walk out of this sport comfortable, and not have
Uh-huh.
to hustle anymore.
Amen. Talking about markets and developing the market, obviously this fight is happening in London, in the UK, in the British market. Do you think that the British market is better for women's boxing, or is it just a better boxing market in general?
It's an easier market, and it's one of the
Okay.
reasons that I want to go and fight over in the UK, and that my team and everybody has thought, this is the next best thing for me because although I still have a lot of passion about developing women's boxing in America, it is a lot more difficult. And there's a lot more
Mm,
competition for the media's attention, NFL and NBA, and such a huge
mm,
country, and even Hollywood and everything. There's just so much competition.
mm-hmm.
And I think I'd be silly to not go while I'm trying to make this happen here in America. It would be silly for me to not tap into the market where it already exists, right? In the country where it already exists. And that's in the UK. They're very open to women's boxing right now. They're supportive. They love it. Boxing's like their top two sports there, right? It's like boxing and
Yeah.
soccer. And
Mm-hmm.
so just me, my business mindset, I'm like, yeah, I need to go over there and tap into that and reel in those supporters as well.
Watching from the outside looking in, it feels like the British public and Sky, the network, have really warmed to you. They've kind of adopted you. Do you feel like you'll be the home favorite, so to speak, in that fight against Alycia?
I do. I think that she thinks that she might be the home favorite because she is with Matchroom and she has fought out there before.
Right.
But I've been building my brand over there. I've been commentating on Sky Sports. I commentated the Boxer card
Mm-hmm.
as well. And I feel like even back when I was trying to build this fight with Terry Harper, people were hearing my name. And so,
Right.
yeah, I do believe that I'll be the favorite going into that fight.
Are you looking forward to fighting in front of a British crowd? It's different.
Yeah, I've been to a few fights out there, and it really is different. I mean, they're just so hype and energetic, and they have so much passion for the sport. And I think that combined with just being at the O2 you have all the UK fans being at the O2, two huge rivalries on this card. The energy
Right.
is definitely going to be amazing. And yeah, I think it'll be different than what I'm used to.
I know that Top Rank have done a really good job of promoting you. They're obviously hugely invested in you. There was just one incident that I wondered about how you felt about it, which was back when Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor were going to fight at MSG, and ESPN had their own card at the same time, which was Shakur Stevenson against Oscar Valdez. And Bob Arum kind of came out and said, well, you know, people don't really pay attention to women's fights, at which point I think you were the only female who was signed to Top Rank. And I just wondered, was that hurtful to you? How did you feel about that?
Listen, I don't take anything personally. Bob comes from a different era. I think where women's boxing is right now, a lot of people didn't expect it to be in this position. I think the only people who really knew that we would be here are the women on the forefront of this era, all of us girls, because we had to believe that we would be in this position or we would have never gotten here. We had all the dollars and everything stacked against us. And we really had to believe that we would be here. And I truly did. And so, I don't take anything personally when people say certain things like that. I think we really just kind of exceeded everyone's expectations and we still are. But at the end of the day, Top Rank has moved me really, really well. Like I have no complaints. And it's not just Bob Arum. There's a handful of people behind my career in Top Rank that are building me and handling my career, so and they've done really, really well. So I don't like to take what Bob said and put that on Top Rank, because there's so many people that do believe in me and have supported me along the way, and I literally have no complaints. He gave me a platform, and yeah, I'm just still doing my job. I guess we still got some people to win over.
And you've re-upped your contract with them, right? You've signed a new contract, a seven-figure contract deal, not to count your money, but that's what they're saying out there in the media, which is supposedly one of the most lucrative ever for a female fighter, correct?
It's an amazing contract. Kudos to Top Rank and kudos to my manager. I mean, I've been with him for like 11, 12 years now, and he's seen me come up from the very beginning. He's helped me build my career, and he knows what I'm worth. And he went in there, and the details of this contract are great. And I'm gonna leave this sport with security. I'm secure, and that's a good feeling to have.
Yeah, I feel like we've gotten accustomed to watching men kind of make money that can generationally change their lives, right? And their families' lives. What's that journey been like for you?
Well, my money has slowly increased, and I find the positive in everything. And here's the positive that I found. And I know these young guys who maybe came out of the Olympics are getting $1 million paydays their first year. That wasn't the case for most females. It wasn't the case for me. And so what it really taught me was how to handle my money. And I think a lot of young people will go through lump sums, and it gets scary when you hand this person their 20 millions of dollars. Like, you're going to make mistakes. And so the positive I found in that is I've really, really learned how to manage my money, how to invest it. I've messed up a little bit, but it wasn't like I'm messing up millions of dollars. It's, 10,000 here or whatever. And so I feel good now. Like I bought 2 homes. I have my money invested. I'm secure. I'm safe. And so everything now, I'm just going to continue to do that on a higher level and a more smarter level. So yeah, it feels good. I feel secure. I'm taking care of my family too. And it's just great.
That's a blessing. Do you feel like you're paid your worth now?
Yeah, I'm happy with this payday. I'm happy with this payday. And I know that winning this fight is just going to take me to the next level. And so I'm focused on that, because like I said, like, financial security is really important to me. I know a lot of people fight for a lot of different reasons, but I worked too hard to leave this sport with nothing. Financial security is very, very important to me. So,
right. You said this fight takes you to the next level. It's another piece of the puzzle, right? In terms of it being another belt that you add to the 2 that you already have. There is another belt that's out there, which is the WBA strap, which is with Hyung-Mi Choi. Have you kind of got a plan of action in terms of, because I know you feel like she's not keen to fight you. Do you have a plan of action in terms of how long do I give myself to get to undisputed? Do you care enough to stick around and keep waiting for that fight, or what's the limit for you?
Yeah. So obviously it's something that I want to get done. It's, my legacy. It'd be the first undisputed in this division. So I've worked really hard for it. I feel like when that does happen, I feel like I've had one of the toughest paths to undisputed, taking the belt from every single champion. So it would be very satisfying to me. It's definitely not something that I want to give up on, but I also am not going to sit around and wait for anybody. I think that Choi has been very difficult to get a fight with. I think for everyone, even Baumgardner, which is the reason she ended up fighting me, because she couldn't get the fight with Choi. same as I couldn't. So I'm hoping the WBA will step in, or she'll step up and say, all right, all the belts are collected now. Maybe she'll be like inspired by the fact that she only needs to fight one of us to potentially go undisputed, and she'll step up and take that fight. But my team knows what I want. I'm focused on this fight. I really, really am, but they know what I want. And so as soon as we can, I mean, there's going to be an offer out to Choi to get this undisputed fight done. And it needs to happen by January, in my opinion. There's no reason it shouldn't. I don't mind going right back into camp and getting this done, because I have 3 years left. Yeah. And I have 3 years left, and I want to continue to challenge myself. And I've cleaned out this division, but come the end of this fight, I'll have cleaned out this division, and it's time for me to go up and challenge myself. I've always wanted to fight with someone like Katie Taylor, and I would love to go up to 135 and challenge myself against her, a handful of other girls, even 140 eventually. Like, I feel like I have the height and the range and everything to do it. So yeah, it's going to be fast.
3 years. Is that a hard out, or does that depend on where I find myself in 3 years? People find it hard to step away.
3 more years, I'm in position now. And so there's only, for me, like, there's big fights only, right? I'm 32. I'm peaking as an athlete. I feel like I'm in my prime. I'm already a multiple time world champion. And so I want to go into big fights only. And so, yeah, 33 more years, I'll be 35. I want to be able to retire. I don't want to have to stay boxing. Like, my goal is to be like, if I want to retire today, I absolutely can. If it's still in me, maybe I'll keep going, but I don't want to have to fight.
Is 130 comfortable for you to make?
I feel great right now. I'm strong. You can see I'm lean,
look great,
but it takes a long time to get there. It really is not my natural weight.
Okay.
It's not, but I have a great team, and I'm very, like, at this stage of my life, like, I know how to make the weight. I know what to eat. My nutrition is on point. I have a great team with perfecting athletes. They help me out a ton. And so I have all the support in the world to get it done. My body, I'm not depleted at all. And I always feel great going into fights, but I don't think it's my natural weight. And I think I'm going to be even stronger when I go up.
Who gets on your nerves most when you're cutting weight?
Oh God. Well, I live alone, so I don't have to deal with anything, but Coach Al, I mean, when I'm living with Coach Al in training camp, getting ready, he can definitely get on my nerves, but he has his own room upstairs, so.
Okay, fair enough. Where do you think, you said it's not your natural weight, 130. Where do you think you'll be most comfortable? Where do you think is the ideal weight division for you?
I think 135 is. I've been fighting at 130 my whole career, like 13 years. I've been at one, and I'm growing and I'm developing. I think 135 will be very comfortable, but I also think I'm going to grow into a solid 140 pounder. Ideally, and then even challenge myself at 147. I mean,
wow,
I kind of walk around like 153. So I feel like I can do that. And but it's really just about the challenges. I want to go where the big fights are and where the challenges are. And so I'll do what I have to do to get there.
So you mentioned wanting Katie Taylor. Obviously, there's kind of the issue of the Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, and do we get the rematch? Do you think we need the rematch?
That's a good question. It was a great fight. I'm sure people will pay to see it again. Do I need the rematch? No. Personally, no.
That's interesting, because when you first watched it, you were there, right? You were there live.
Yeah.
And you thought it went Amanda Serrano's way. Then you rewatched it on TV and said, actually, no, I got it wrong. I think Katie did win it. So just the fact that your own opinion was so split on it makes me surprised that you wouldn't think we need the rematch.
Because when I rewatched it from the TV and the bird's eye view, I think Katie won pretty clearly. I guess we could do a rematch. We could, but I don't know. Yeah, it would be great. People would pay for it. I mean, they'd get paid again. It'd be awesome. It'd be great. But I don't think it was as close as I thought it was when I rewatched it. It's in like a really weird position, like behind, kind of like, now I see why, like, they say stay in the center of the ring, away from the judge, like where all the judges can see you, because it really is deceiving. Like, I wish they would put the judges like higher up, like looking over the ring at a bird's eye view. That would be so much better.
That'd be interesting.
It would
mess
so
everything up for TV, but yeah, for judging,
yeah,
maybe.
it would, but they got to figure it out. But they deserve to have it happen again. It was a great fight. The fans loved it. It's in the contract, so might as well follow through with that. But if Serrano doesn't want to go to Ireland to fight Katie Taylor, then I will. Sign me up. Just let me get through this Baumgardner fight first and sign me up. I'll be there.
So this one is your first fight in the UK. Like you said, you've been spending time there. You've really been kind of investing in making yourself known to the UK audience. And you had that whole, was it in February, I think it was, when you were over there? I don't remember for which fight, but you had your whole Spice Girls theme kind of week where you dressed up as a different Spice Girl every time that we saw you. And it's just made me try and figure out your musical genre, because from reading about you, I knew that you were in like a hardcore metal band, but you're also a Spice Girls fan, and it doesn't come together for me.
When I know, Coach, I'm almost done. Is it 12:30? He's telling me. It really is everywhere. People ask like, "What do you listen to?" It really is everywhere, because I did grow up listening to like metal, but then I also went in my teen years and stuff, but turned into a little metalhead. But growing up, I was like Spice Girls, Britney Spears, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys. Like I've been to 3 Britney Spears concerts.
All the groups.
Yeah, all of it. And so I just have my mom grew up listening to like Beatles and stuff. So I just have a very wide variety of like things that I'm into. But
so what music do you like to train to?
Usually a little bit more like hip hop if I'm gonna train, yeah.
Okay.
And running and stuff. So I mean that just kind of gets me a little bit more pumped up.
So do you and Coach Al, do you vibe to the same kind of music?
No, when we're in his gym at the house or back in Michigan, we're not allowed to listen to songs with any cuss words. So he like throws on
I
all
like
his old,
it.
I know. Like so we're listening to like old slow jams. I'm like, Coach, how am I supposed to like get
It doesn't get you in fight mode. You're not aggressive with that.
Yeah. But he's the boss, so.
You have his initials tattooed on your hand, is that right?
Yes.
That's a really nice gesture. What does he mean to you?
I got this when I had first made the Olympic team, and here in America, when you make the Olympic team, you sort of get taken away from your home coaches, and they put you at the Olympic Training Center, and you're put with the U.S. team coaches, and so I knew I was going to have to go and do that, and so I got this before I left, just as like a tribute to him, because I knew he's the one who got me there. He crafted these hands, and yeah, I probably should have stayed with him. Probably would have got my medal.
Obviously, you guys are an incredible team in the ring. What connects you outside of the ring? What do you guys connect on?
Just honestly, this guy, he's like looking at me right now. He's
What's
just
up, Coach Al?
He is just all boxing. He's a boxing encyclopedia, honestly. Like that is just everything to him. So it's just that. But that keeps me like so grounded and focused, when we're together and we're in camp, everything is just boxing, boxing, boxing. And he always says how he's going to retire soon, but he's not. He's going to die in the corner. We know that. But yeah, just on everything that we've accomplished together. We've accomplished a lot together, a lot of ups and downs.
Obviously, you started out with him. Like, at what point did you know when you were in his gym, this boxing isn't just something I'm doing. Boxing is what I am going to do. Like, this is who I'm going to be.
I knew that when I went up to, well, first of all, I knew that like 3 weeks into training. I told myself I wanted to be the best female fighter in the world. But when I found Coach Al and I moved from LA to Northern Michigan to go and train with him and join his program, I fully believed that I was going to be an Olympian. I was going to be a real champion. I was going to be great. He didn't think so. He thought I was just some chick from LA filling a spot so they can keep the program open. Women were in the Olympics now. So he's like, I guess we have to have a female. Like he had like very low expectations for me, right, Coach?
Yes, I did.
very low. Very low. But like with all the guys he had in that program during that year and everything, you wouldn't have thought that I was the one who would rise to the top, but I stuck with him. And I worked hard, and he'll always tell you I was never really naturally talented. He's like, you just worked hard. You worked hard and you listened, and I persevered, and that's what it takes, really.
Are you his favorite now?
Oh yeah, now I'm definitely his favorite, right?
Yeah,
I'm his favorite. I'm like his last boxer, so I just didn't have like many options to choose from.
A lot of fighters though will say that boxing saved them from a different path, right? Did boxing save you from something?
Oh, I was everywhere before I found boxing. In 4 different high schools. The time hit my senior year. My mom was an addict growing up. I lived with her for my first 13 years of my life. My dad got custody of us, and he was working, gone before the sun came up, home when the sun was already down. And so I just sort of fell into like a very, rebellious lifestyle, out partying, doing my thing, hanging out with the wrong crowd. And I just had this epiphany that like, that's not what I wanted for my life. I wanted to do something. I wanted to be successful. And I thought I had this epiphany at a young age, but in hindsight, I was 17 and I was actually quite young. But that's what got me to just try something new. I was like, just try something new, Mikaela. Go get back into a sport. And I walked into the gym and 360, I mean, total 180, right? Yeah, 180.
Praise God. You ever
Just
look back and
became
think about
laser
that,
focused.
like where it could have ended and how grateful you are for where you are now?
I feel like I would have figured it out eventually. I was going to pour,
Okay.
I mean, I'm just such a extremist. I was going to pour my energy into something. If it wasn't boxing, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it would be, but I just feel like I had it in me. I wasn't going to mess around for too much longer. I knew I wanted to be successful.
I got to ask you about the Claressa and Savannah fight as well, because obviously that's a massive one on that card, the headliner for the undisputed middleweight championship. You were at the fight, the amateur fight that Claressa lost to Savannah. It was the World Championships in 2012, right? What did you think when you watched Claressa lose that fight, and how differently do you think this fight will play out?
God, she was so young. We didn't even know who Claressa was at the time. Franchon Cruz was the girl at her weight, and Franchon Cruz was the one who was supposed to make the Olympic team. And here Claressa Shields comes, super young, out of the youth, out of nowhere, and just starts whooping on everybody. And so she was definitely like being looked at as a huge threat going into that tournament. You know, she was still very young, and you're still learning to go up against different styles. And I think that Savannah, what I vaguely remember is Savannah just moving a lot, just boxing and moving a lot. And Claressa's always been very aggressive, and she's always had that dog in her, and she throws a lot. But she was like maybe this close in the space and closing that space. And so Savannah was just able to box and turn and move, and sort of beat her on points. God, that was so long ago. I really wouldn't,
Right.
you can't look at that fight and make a guess based on like who's going to win this fight. It was so long ago, and she's grown so much from then.
You think it's irrelevant to talk about what happened in the amateurs ever?
I think it is very irrelevant. I mean, this fight was literally a decade ago, and she was 17
Right.
years old. So yeah, I wouldn't go based, if you're going to decide who's going to win this fight, I really wouldn't go based off of that. So much has happened since then, but you know, it's a good story and it's part of the whole narrative. So
how badly you think Claressa will want the knockout though?
I know Claressa wants this win, whether it's a knockout or not. I know that she's always had that dog in her. She always has. That's one of her greatest qualities. She doesn't back down. And I think we're going to see that times 10 in this fight, because she wants everybody to know that this bat fight happened 10 years ago, that she's grown and developed since then, and that Savannah's not better than her. And she wants to prove that to the world, and this is her chance. So I just don't see her letting that moment escape her.
All right, listen, I know that Coach Al is waiting for you because you got to get going. Best of luck to you. Can we say hi to Coach Al? Can we see him since he was part of the interview? What's good, sir? How you doing?
How you doing?
You're looking
fine.
Cool. Nice to meet you. Mikaela, thank you again.
We'll see you there.
Good luck. God bless you.
Bye.
See you then. Bye.